Namaskar everyone and welcome to the Geeta Satsang for today. Let us start with the Prarthana. By the Guru's grace and the will of Sri Krishna, we have all assembled for this Geeta Satsang. May we have their guidance to be able to learn and adopt the things which will help us to grow spiritually. Let us chant the prayers. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramartanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnaya Vasudevaya Haraye Paramatmane Pranatah Kleshanashaya Govindaya Namo Namaha Namostu Te Vyasa Vishala Buddhe Pullara Vindaya Tapatra Netra Yena Tvaya Bharata Taila Purnaha Prajvalito Jnanamaya Pradipaha Ramanujadaya Patram Jnana Vairagyabhushanam Srimadvenkatanathaaryam Vande Vedanta Deshikam Yo Nityamachyutapadambuja Yukma Rukma Vyamohatastaritarani Trinaya Mene Asmadguror Bhagavatosya Dayaika Sindhoho Ramanujasya Charanam Sharanam Prapadye. So with prayers at the Acharya's feet, let us take up the shlokas for today. So we will today cover the last 4 shlokas of the first chapter. First we will see the content or what are the lessons from shloka 44, 45, 46. And after understanding that, we will go to the last 47th shloka. So here Arjuna is continuing to talk and he says, Utsanna kula dharmanam manushyanam janardana Narake niyatam vaso bhavatityanu aho batamahat papam kartum vyavasita vayam yadrajya sukhalobhena hantum swajanamudyataha yadi mama pratikaram ashastram shastrapanayah dhartarashtrarane hanyusten tanme kshema taram bhavet. So first he says he's continuing. In the last shlokas we have seen how he was talking about the papa that they will get by killing their own people. Then he is also worried that how we are going to enjoy this Rajya. What is the use of this Rajya if we kill them? So here he continues and he says that learned people say, the wise scholars, the Pandits, they all tell that anybody who destroys the Kula Dharma, such a person will go to hell, will go to Naraka and stay there for an indefinite period of time. So, who is it that goes to Naraka? Somebody who has committed a lot of papa. So, killing somebody and doing an action which will destroy a particular family's Kula Dharma. Such a person gets a lot of papa, and then that person goes to Naraka and they have to stay there indefinitely. We don't know what will happen next to them. Then he further continues that, oh, it is so strange why we have come here to fight like this yuddha, this killing our own people. It is such a great papa. It is Mahat Papa. It is a great papa, and the consequences are going to be very horrible. So, why have we come here? What is it? Because we want Rajya Sukha Lobha that we have. We have agreed or we have a desire to enjoy this Rajya and to have the kingly pleasure. So, because of this desire, how we have become like this, that we are intent on killing our own kinsmen, killing our own relatives. Then he goes further and says, it would be better rather than me killing all the Kauravas and all the people on the other side. It would be better if the sons of Dhritarashtra, they only kill me. I will not resist them. I will not take up my arms. And I will just stay like that. And it is better if they only kill. So all these things that Arjuna is saying, he has reached the climax of his dukkha. So we know that this first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita is called as Arjuna Vishada Yoga. So Arjuna has been going on telling. He told Krishna, first take me to the middle of the two armies. Then he saw all the people who are on that side. He saw all people who are on his side. Then he started realizing that, oh, they are all my own relatives. Then he starts feeling compassion that definitely we are going to be victorious in this war. So that means all the other people on the other side are going to get killed. And he starts slipping into this depression that what is the point of all of this? Why I will do such an action? It will kill all my people. My own people will be killed. How can I kill them? I will get papa by doing this. Why should I kill them? When I kill all these people, then their kula will suffer. Their kula dharma will go astray. So people will not follow it. Then all these ill effects will come. So why I should do all this action? And now he's come to the ultimate state that he has decided now that okay, whatever happens, I don't want to do this. So what are the points that we can see in this shloka? So he's Arjuna is explaining that the effect of papa is going to hell, going to naraka. Now actually, according to Shastra, somebody who does a papa, somebody who commits a crime, can avoid that papa, can avoid the effect of that crime or sinful action by two ways. One is that they can do some prayashchitta, and second is they can feel paschatapa. Paschatapa is the feeling of remorse which comes, the feeling which arises in that person where he starts thinking that, okay, I should not have done this, my doing this action was wrong, and so on. So, when somebody feels that remorse also, the effect of that papa can be reduced because they have realized that what they have done is wrong. Now, out of that feeling of remorse, out of that feeling of paschatapa, what the person can do, they can undertake some action, they can do some vidhi, they can do something to atone for that wrong action, to make up for that wrong action. So that is called as prayashchitta. Like in some cases, they may tell that if you commit this particular wrong deed, if you do, then you have to chant so many Gayatri mantras. Or if you do like this, then the solution is to do that particular homa, like that. So there can be some types of prayashchitta also. Now, why Arjuna is feeling that definitely I will go to Naraka by killing the Kauravas? Because he can't do both these things. Why he can't do? Now, Paschatapa is when you do something without realizing that it is wrong, and later you feel bad at, oh, I did wrong, isn't it? But now Arjuna, before the war starts, only he knows that what he is going to do is wrong. So there is no question of him feeling paschatapa. Knowingly, he is doing the actions to fight in the war. So how later he can do paschatapa? So what will be the effect? What prayashita he can do? This Paschatapa and Prayaschitta are options which are available to somebody who has unknowingly or without realizing it done wrong things. So Arjuna is saying, I already know that killing my own kin people is wrong. So how I will have any alternative to avoid the Naraka? So I don't want to kill them. Now itself I know that this is wrong. So instead of doing wrong and then finding some solution to avoid Naraka because of that wrong, now itself I will not do the wrong deed. So that is the attitude that Arjuna has taken. Now here we must assume as if, like he is telling, no, that uh, it will be wrong on my part to kill our kinspeople. So there is an unspoken question there, as if Krishna. Now all this is conversation of Arjuna with Krishna, isn't it? So we must assume that Krishna is asking a question that now you are telling all this, but oh Arjuna, before itself, when the decision was being taken about fighting, why you didn't think about all this at that time when we were deciding that we are going to arrange this yuddha and fight with the Kauravas? At that time itself, why you didn't say that you don't want to fight? Hmm. So Arjuna is explaining now that okay, I didn't understand, I didn't realize at that time. But even now, the yuddha has not yet started. It is not that the yuddha is over and then Arjuna is feeling bad, isn't it? So he says, never mind, I didn't realize at that time. But now that I have realized at this nth moment, at the 11th hour, just before we are starting to fight, even now I realized. So we can definitely stop this fight and, not participate in this fight. Then there is another unspoken question that Krishna is asking, which is not coming in this Samvada here, but we must assume that Krishna is maybe asking the question that the Kauravas did so much papa, isn't it? Do you mean to say that their papa, whatever wrong they did, we have talked about all those wrong things that the Kauravas had done. They tried to poison Bhima. They tried to set the Pandavas on fire in the Lakshagriha. They did all that to outrage the modesty of Draupadi. They did Vastraharana, all these things. Then the very act of having that gambling game, sending them off to the forest, not giving them what is rightfully theirs. So the behavior of the Kauravas has been totally wrong. So they have also done papa, isn't it? That is what Krishna is asking Arjuna, that you are saying all this is wrong and all that, but it is justified because they have done wrong against you. So what is stopping you from fighting back against all the wrong things that have been done to you? So then it is that Arjuna says, maybe they have done wrong. The Kauravas have also committed papa. But what we are going to do, killing them, is Mahat Papa. It is the greater crime. So here Arjuna is looking at their own actions through the lens of which is the bigger papa. The Kauravas did so much bad to us, but they did not cause loss of life, and we are now set to execute some actions by which they are going to lose their lives totally. So even if what they did is papa, what we are going to do is going to be mahat papa. It is bigger crime, so we must not do this. Now they have not realized that it is wrong, so they are doing it, but we have realized that it is wrong, so we must not do it. Then now Krishna is asking that, okay, you don't want to fight, but what about the Kauravas? We have assembled here for this Yuddha. So definitely the Kauravas will come and attack you. They will kill all of you. They will take their, actions. So then Arjuna is saying that even if they want to kill me, let them kill. I will not take up my arms. I will not resist them. I will not try to protect myself from their attack. That will be the better option. In this shloka where he says, Kshemataram bhavet. Kshema means what is good. Kshemataram means what is better. So he says that, okay, they will come to attack me. Fine, let them attack. Let them kill me. I don't mind. That being killed by them is a better option according to me. But I don't want to do the wrong act. I don't want to commit the papa of having killed all of them. So by telling like this, Arjuna has made his case now, and he's put across all the points that he wanted to tell. Now we need to understand in the next shloka. So all this Arjuna has said, and we know from the beginning of the Gita we have seen that it was Sanjaya who is narrating all the actions on the battlefield to Dhritarashtra, isn't it? So now once Arjuna has seen all the people in the armies, he has expressed his opinion to Krishna, and now what does he do next? That is what Sanjaya reports to Dhritarashtra. So the last shloka, the 47th shloka of the first chapter says, Sanjaya uvacha eva muktvarjuna sankhye ratopastha upavishat visrujya sasaram chapam shoka samvigna manasaha. Sanjaya said that by speaking in this manner, Arjuna put aside his Gandiva, he threw aside his bow and arrows, and he sat down in the seat of his chariot. In what a condition? His mind is in total distress and he has been overwhelmed. He's overcome with total grief and sorrow. He has shoka. So, with that kind of a mindset, Arjuna just sat down. So, what we understand from this, in the beginning of the chapter, we saw how there was fear in the mind of Duryodhana, isn't it? You remember in the first few shlokas where Duryodhana goes to Dronacharya and says that look at their army, look at our army. Our army is led by Bhishma, their army is led by Bhima, and they are having this strength of army. Our strength may not be sufficient to destroy them, and all that. We have seen that there was fear in the mind of Duryodhana. But why was that fear in Duryodhana's mind? Because he was scared that he will get defeated by Pandavas. Now, by the time we have reached the end of this, chapter, we have seen that there was fear in the mind of Arjuna. But what is the difference between Duryodhana's fear and Arjuna's fear? Arjuna knew that definitely he was not scared about losing the war. He knew that Vijaya will be theirs. He knew they would emerge victorious. Why? Because as we saw, Madhava, Krishna, the Lord of Lakshmi Mata, the one who is the giver of fortune, her husband is on his side. So how can they lose? There is Kapidwaja. You remember that shloka where we said on the flag of the Pandavas, on the flag of Arjuna's Ratha, there is Hanuman. Anjaneya is there. So when Hanuman is there, then definitely there can't be defeat there. There will only be victory. Krishna himself is there on their side. So when all these factors are there and Arjuna is highly skilled warrior, he knows definitely that they are going to win the war. So his fear is not about losing the war, but he is also in a fearful state. What is it that he is afraid of? He is afraid of all the dushparinama, all the wrong things that are going to happen as a result of winning this war. Duryodhana can only see what will be the ill effects of losing the war. But Arjuna is seeing what are all the ill effects if they kill all the Kauravas and even win the war. And because of this, he has now made up his mind. See, if Arjuna had even little bit of a desire to fight, to stand up and counter the Kauravas, he would have remained standing with his bow and arrow in his hand. But when a great warrior like Arjuna throws aside his bow and arrows and he sits down in the chariot with the mind in total distress, then it is clear that he has made up his mind that I am not going to fight. Right? So, this is the essence of what all has been conveyed in this 47th shloka. Now, we need to, what is it that we can learn out of all this? First thing, we may feel that why Arjuna is, running away like this. What is this attitude of his? He should have been confident and gone and fought and killed everybody. Now, later, Krishna will explain to him why his attitude is wrong. That he has, completely been drowned in emotion. And out of that material bondage, what he is having, he is seeing things like this. And Krishna will give him the perspective of how he should see all this. But for us, from Arjuna's attitude, we can learn one important thought that always, whenever we are going to take some kind of an action, we must consider what will be the impact of that action, not only on our own life, but also on people around us. Whenever we set out to do something, we always think of how it will affect me. Is it going to be good for me? Is it going to be bad for me? Is it going to be in my benefit or is it going to cause some damage to me? But we must, the person who is truly filled with compassion for everybody in society will always consider if I act in this particular way, what will be the impact of that action on all the people who are around me? So that attitude we must learn because that is when we will develop compassion and karuna. Now, most of the times in our life, we are not doing actions which are going to be, fight between dharma and adharma. But definitely there are actions we are going to do which are going to have some impact on people around us. If I am traveling somewhere and there is some, let us say I have got a seat in the bus or somewhere, and there is somebody who is, ill or physically handicapped or unable to stand and they are standing. Now I got the seat, I came rightfully, I reserved my seat, I sat first, right? So according to that right, I should be sitting there. But only if I have compassion, I will start thinking that, okay, that person is suffering by standing. Let me make the seat available to him or her. Like that. So I just gave one example. But in so many actions that we do, we must consider the impact of what we are doing on ourselves, not only on ourselves, but also on the people around us. Right. Another important thing we must see in this attitude of Arjuna is that he was full of distress. He had completely lost his mental equilibrium. He was totally in sorrow. But what he did, he didn't hide those feelings of his, and he did not run away from the battlefield, without expressing his thoughts and his feelings. Whom did he confide? To his he confided everything to his friend and well-wisher Krishna. So similarly, in our life, when we also have some difficult kind of situations, it is important that we should confide in somebody. We should have one person with whom confidently we can share our feelings. And if that person is the right kind of person, we will get some valuable guidance from them also. So if we have somebody like this in our life, someone whom we know, it may be our family member, it may be a friend, it may be somebody who is elder to us, it may be our guru, it may be someone who is very respected by us, whoever it is. If there is some wise person who is definitely going to tell what is good for us, then we must have keep confidence in such people and share our distress with such people and try to get guidance about how we must go about in that difficult situation. Now, if we don't have anybody like this, or if we feel that, there is no one who will actually guide me in the correct way without having some vested interest of their own, then in that case, we can also, like Arjuna, we can make Krishna only our confidant, isn't it? Whatever thoughts you have, whatever distress you are feeling, whatever angst is there in our mind, let us sit quietly for 5 minutes and talk to the Lord and express all our feelings to Him and surrender at His feet and say, you only help me. Definitely through the madhyama of somebody in this world, Krishna will guide us ahead. So, this is the kind of learning that we can take from Arjuna's attitude of talking and sharing his feelings to get guidance. Now, there was one more thing here which I didn't mention at that point of time, that Arjuna is talking about Naraka, isn't it? So, when we say Naraka, we think sometimes that Naraka means it is a place, it is the nether world, it is, below the Bhumi, below the Bhuloka, and there is Yama and all his workers are there. They are waiting to torture us there, right? So definitely, yes, there is Naraka like that. But then it is not necessary that Naraka is out of this world only. For many times, for us, if we do wrong actions or if we are in any kind of pain, then in this lifetime only we may experience Naraka also. Although we are in Bhuloka, we may feel that we are in Naraka if we are undergoing suffering. An example, the example which is quoted by the Acharyas for this is that during the Ramayana, in the Ramayana, at the time when Rama has to go for Vanvasa, and he says that he tells Sita that you don't come along with me, you stay here, you take care of my parents, you take care of my brothers and everybody. I will go and come back. Then Sita at that time says, no, I will come along with you. And then she asks Rama a question. According to you, Rama, what is the meaning of Swarga? What is the meaning of Naraka? Now, Rama has studied all the Shastras, isn't it? So he gives a very detailed explanation of what is Swarga, what is Naraka, and all that. Finally, Sita says, okay, I agree your concept of what is Swarga and Naraka, but let me tell you my concept. She says, if I stay with you in the forest also, that is Swarga for me. If I'm parted from you and I stay in Ayodhya with all the pleasures of the world also, that is going to be Naraka for me. So, what is the tatparya of this? That if we are in a particular situation which causes a lot of suffering for us, that itself will be Naraka. So, when Arjuna is talking about going to Naraka, he is not only talking that we will kill all these people and we will, after this Janma, go to Naraka. He is saying that after killing all those people also, if we become the Raja and we start ruling, with that, mental distress that we have killed all these people, this life itself will be Naraka for me. So that is the idea of Arjuna. So now we have come to the end of this first chapter, isn't it? So there is, for every chapter in the Bhagavad Gita, there is an explanation given of what is the mahatmya of that, what is the greatness of that chapter, and what will somebody earn by reading or listening to that chapter. So actually, it is told that once Parvati Devi, she asks Shiva that, "Oh Lord, please explain to me that what is this Gita Mahatmya? Why it is so important like that?" So Lord Shiva narrates to her one incident, and in that he says that once when Vishnu was lying on Adishesha, when Lord Narayana was lying on Adishesha, then Lakshmi asks him that always you used to be so worried about, protecting this world and running around to save the people and all that. Now, how come you are relaxing on Adishesha in this way? So then Lord Narayana says that before it was that I had to always be involved in everything that is happening and protect my devotees. But now, ever since I gave them the Bhagavad Gita, there is no need for me to rush around like that and run here and there. Because through the Bhagavad Gita, I have given my devotees the means or the method by which they can be protected. And in fact, the Lord says that in the Bhagavad Gita, the different chapters, the adhyayas in the Bhagavad Gita, are equivalent to parts of me. So anybody who studies those parts, anybody who lives by the principles which are told in the Bhagavad Gita, they will definitely be protected throughout their life. I don't have to physically be there to protect them. What they learn out of the Bhagavad Gita will protect them. So, according to what the Lord tells Mahalakshmi, the chapters number from 1 to 5 in the Bhagavad Gita are equivalent to the Lord's face. The chapters from 6 to 15 are equivalent to the hands of the Lord. The 16th chapter is the abdomen of the Lord, and the 17th to 18th chapter are like the Lord's lotus feet. So, anybody who studies these 18 chapters, anybody who goes through the teachings of these chapters, anybody who tries to live their life as per the principles of these chapters, such a person will attain the Lord definitely, will get the protection of the Lord, and they will be able to live their life in a proper manner. So, this is overall Mahatmya of the Gita. Now, for every chapter of the Gita in the Padma Purana, there are specific stories which are told to explain the Mahatmya of that particular chapter. So, here for this first chapter, to explain what is the greatness of this first chapter, how much power it has, there is the story which is told of a person called as Susharma. This Susharma was a Pandita, he was a Brahmana, and he was, born in a very good family. And unfortunately, however, he went away from the virtuous path. He stopped doing whatever he was supposed to do. He did not follow all the religious principles. He did not do whatever was expected out of him. He didn't do the vidhis as they were supposed to do. He got into bad company. He fell prey to many vices. He got into bad habits. And he did not live his life in a pure manner. As a result of that, at the end of his human life, he was reborn in the form of a bull. Okay. Now that bull was belonging to a crippled man. Now that man was a cripple. The owner of the bull was a crippled man. So he couldn't do much of the work. So he used to use this bull to transport all, he used to do some business. He used to use this bull to transport all his goods. So what he would do is he would overload this bull. And that way, this bull, who is actually Susharma from the previous birth, so this bull was tortured like anything and he had to undergo a lot of suffering. Now, because of all that suffering, one day he got injured and he fell down on the road while he was carrying all the goods. At that time, the cripple tried to hit him to make him get up, but he could not get up. And he was, in a very painful situation where that bull is neither losing his life nor he is able to regain his health. So he was just lying like that on the roadside. Seeing his sad state, many people who were passing by, all those who were passing by on that road, they wanted to, like give some relief to that bull. So they used to make this, shapat, or they used to take this kind of oath, or they would say that, okay, I have done so and so action. Because of that, whatever punya I have got, I'm offering that to the Lord. Let this bull get mukti. Let it, go get away from this pitiable condition. But nothing happened. That bull continued to lie there, half alive, half dead, and suffering. Finally, there was, now, as all these people were doing, whoever was passing by was doing like this, no, that I will give my punya, let it get mukti, like that. So, seeing that, there was one prostitute lady who passed by that way. So, that prostitute, she also said, okay, everybody is offering punya, let me also offer my punya, whatever I may have got. That punya let me offer. And she also makes a shapata. She says, whatever punya I may have got in my life, I am offering that, let this bull get mukti. So everybody is surprised when that prostitute makes the oath, that bull really gets mukti. So after getting mukti from that animal form, he is in front of Yama, and then Yama tells him that you have got mukti from this bull life, and now because of all the previous punya that you had, whatever you may have done some few good things, all the bad things that you did has got over. You have settled that account in this bull life. So now what you have to do is you will get life in a good family where you can practice all the karmas in a proper way. So when that bull is told like that, then he gets the next janma in a good family, in a good kula, where he can practice bhakti, and then he remembers all this previous incident which has happened. And then because of that he realizes, he comes to know that okay, it was the punya offered by that prostitute which gave him mukti. So he goes in search of that prostitute and he asks her that what punya did you have. How is it? Now there were so many so-called virtuous people, isn't it? They all offered their punya and nothing happened. No good came to that bull. It didn't get mukti. Then how is it? We know that a prostitute is somebody. Just 1 minute, please. So I'm sorry about that. Um, so what he says is that I was talking about, huh? So we may wonder that how is it all the so-called virtuous people, they offered their punya and nothing happened. The bull didn't get mukti. But this prostitute who has led a life full of sin, she has committed so many sins in her life, and the whole basis of her life itself is wrong. So that prostitute, what punya she would have had, and by offering that punya, how did that bull get mukti? So he asks this Susharma, who is now reborn in a human life after passing through the bull life, he asks this question to the prostitute. So she says that, see here, she shows him a cage where there is a parrot, and she says, see this parrot. This parrot, every day, it recites the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. By listening to that, I must have got some punya. And because of that punya, what I offered, you got mukti. So can we imagine how powerful is the listening of this Bhagavad Gita first chapter? Now, how that parrot knew that Bhagavad Gita first chapter, it had been caught, and it had got some kind of injury. Then it was rescued by some rishis, and those rishis had kept it in their ashram. And when those rishis were teaching their children the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, this parrot had heard, and because it has good memory power, it had learned that entire thing by heart. And by learning that, it had learned to recite the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Then that parrot had been given by somebody to this woman. So every day that parrot used to recite the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. This prostitute used to listen to that. By listening to that first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, she had accumulated the punya, and that punya was so great that although all the rest of her life was sinful, but by listening to the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, she had got the punya which could give mukti to that Atma which was in the bull Sharira, and take him into the next stage in his bhakti. So this story from the Padma Purana tells us about how important, or what is the great value, or what is the great power which the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita has. So we have seen all these aspects in the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. So next time we will do a brief summary of what all we can learn overall from the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, and go on further to the second chapter. Now, in the second chapter is when Lord Krishna will actually start speaking. So we have reached one stage where we know now the distress which is there in Arjuna's mind, and we are going to go and learn now about how the Lord explains the different concepts, the different thoughts that Arjuna should cultivate, and how he should look at this act of fighting against the Kauravas. So, with that, we will come to the end of our satsang for today. Let us offer Kritagnyata. Let us offer gratitude at the lotus feet of Sri Krishna and Guru for inspiring us to start and join this satsang. Let us pray for their blessings and grace to always be on us. And thank you everyone for joining in today. We will continue again next Tuesday, hopefully on Tuesday itself. We will get back to our second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Thank you very much. Namaste.